I'm Frederick March. I'm here to show you what the best practices are to change your life and to become more successful in everything you do. This is episode 9, Life Happens. Hi everyone, Frederick. Nice to see you again. Okay, so today's podcast is going to be kind of all over the place. I want to talk about focus. Okay, so this week was a difficult week. It was like I struggled this week with feeling like success was coming and feeling like I could see the victory. I was having a hard time with that. I felt like I was failing all week, but it was just a feeling because I wasn't failing. I wasn't eating something that I wasn't supposed to be eating. I wasn't eating outside of my time that I was supposed to be eating. I was working out like I was supposed to be. I was doing my mental work and I was being mindful. I was doing all the things that I was doing, but it was just like it felt struggle. Being mindful that I recognized the fact that I was feeling this way, but I didn't really associate it to anything in particular. It was just more like a feeling that I was having that, I didn't feel like, it was kind of like, this wasn't worth it. I wasn't going to be able to do it. I wasn't going to stick to it. In the past, I've fallen off of my path of succeeding and doing what I'm doing, sticking to it and all that kind of stuff. So maybe it was a residual of the past me trying to rear its ugly head, as it were. Went through a few things this week as far as other things outside of what's going on in my life. I have a friend who was a pretty good friend for a long time, passed away, and it's difficult, and it's a struggle. It caused other problems in my life with other people and the past relationships and all this kind of stuff, and it's tricky. It's hard. I don't want to bring anybody up because they're not part of this podcast process. I am, so it's about me. It's not about other people. So there was some struggles going on in life in general, but it wasn't like overwhelming. It was sad that this person passed away. It's a fourth person in the last little while that passed away on me that was like right around 60 years old, 61, 58, 62. So all strong men of God who love God, who are so it's if I wasn't at the place that I'm at now, where I'm working towards this goal that I'm working towards with getting fit, getting healthier, changing my mindset, positive confession, envisioning myself, I could see myself maybe being more concerned because maybe I'd be walking down the same path, as far as being unhealthy is concerned, but I'm working on things and I'm getting through things, and so I don't feel the same way. However, it did take a toll. Now, I also noticed, and I didn't notice until I noticed that I hadn't been doing my envisioning every morning. And it's not like I stopped because I didn't want to, or I just didn't think about it. It just never popped in. I just got up and I had to do what I had to do, and I did what I had to do, and I got it done, and and then you don't think of it, and then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 days later, you're like, oh, I haven't done this in a while. Well, that's weird. Oh, huh. And so it's possible that because I hadn't done it for a bit, my vision of myself being successful and strong and fit and healthy and confident maybe was waning a little bit, and then it gave an opening for negative thoughts to start to come in a little and to say, oh, you're not going to be successful, you're not really doing it. And that conflict's going to come, but you just, if you're aware of it, you're aware of it, and you do what you need to do. And I was aware of it coming in, you know and not like I rebuked it. I was aware of it, and I sensed it. But afterwards I'm like, wait a second, why was I even feeling that way? I wasn't failing at any of my processes and techniques. I was just feeling like I was failing, but I wasn't failing. I was being successful. I was doing everything I needed to do. But it was just a feeling that was coming on, and it's like, So that's another part of being mindful, just knowing like what's going on. Why is that there? Is that some sort of protector in me to try to get me to not take this risk? Because, what I'm envisioning and seeing and planning for is a much bigger life than I'm used to, and more out there with the people and speaking and helping more people. Like, I've helped people today. I've gone out and I did some ministry, and I just spent some time with some people, and it's something that I do and I love doing. I love helping people. I love being there for them. So something that I did, but it's not like it. I see in the future it will be where there's many, many people. At this point I'm doing a lot of one-to-one interactions, but I know in the future it's going to be one-to-many. That's more efficient of my time. At the same time, I can affect more people and help more people, and that's the way I want to go, and that's what I want to do. I also want to be... Hi. I forgot the way of hello to you when I first started. Hello. Sorry. Weird. A little bit. But whatever. Yeah, I want to be present with you. I want to be present with the person I want to be present with when I'm speaking. I also want to be wise with my words. But I also want to be transparent. I don't want to just hold back and not say something that may benefit somebody that I'm going through, to show what's happening. It was just a weird kind of, not the level of motivation that I've been feeling. This week was a little more subdued, a little more plateau feeling-ish, but it is what it is. It's like in the past I had plateaus when, say for example, I was on a specific diet and I'd be losing weight, and then all of a sudden I'd plateau. Sometimes that plateau would cause me to quit, to give up, to be frustrated, not understand what's going on, and I would stop, and then the process would halt, and then I wouldn't get anywhere. So I want to be more mindful of my thoughts and my feelings. And if I'm feeling this way and it's not relevant to what I'm actually going through and where it's coming from, like, why is there a feeling of failure, a feeling of I'm not going to succeed, and not the feeling of giving up, but a feeling of preparing to get to a point where I can accept the fact that I could give up. So I'm nipping that in the butt as fast as possible. It's interesting how when you become mindful of your thoughts and your actions, you start to notice patterns in your life that you never noticed before, feelings that not even related to anything in your life that is somehow coming in. In the past, if I failed, I would lose everything and that's it. I would give up. I have made a decision this time that if I do indeed fail in some area, I am going to look at it as a temporary fail and get back in it and keep on going, and it's not going to stop me. I made that decision. But even though the feelings were coming in about failing, and I wasn't failing, but it was like it was prepping me to be prepared to fail. And I don't want that at all. And so I'm not sure what it is yet. I still got to look into it. I got a big revelation about it, this stuff that was happening this week, today, that because although I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, I had not taken any being still with God time. And I did that today for a couple hours, and afterwards I was like, well, okay, yeah, how come I felt that way? And ironically, then I had to meet with somebody, and when I met with somebody, they were going through something similar, so I was able to express what was brought to me in that moment, which now I'm bringing to you. Meta. Anyways, so I don't feel like this is an exciting podcast about something that is really deep. It feels like it's just the reality of the situation when you're going through a process of changing your mindsets, changing your physical being, changing the way you interact with the world and how you let the world interact with you. Because that's a choice. We can't control the world and the universe and stuff in it. We can control how we react to the world, the universe, and stuff in it. I can't stop that person from cutting me off, but I can stop myself from feeling like I'm being personally attacked when it's just they didn't see me. So I think it's interesting that you go through this process of figuring these things out and seeing them. No, I'm going to have some more praying to go into to try to figure out maybe if this is an aspect of my personality. This is part of why I failed before in the past and not achieved certain things. It's possible. And so I need to look at that stuff, and so I'm going to look at it. I also had a revelation this week. So it might be weird to say, but I have a lot of digital media skills. I've been doing digital video editing since the dawn of digital video. I had the very first digital video camera. Didn't even have audio, just had video. And at that time I had an online art gallery, and I was doing video of magicians doing their tricks, and then doing slideshows of glass blowers blowing there, and then doing montages of painters painting and creating. And at the time I was taking audio separate from the video and then merging them together and then editing them together and putting it on my website. That website's not up anymore, but at one time I had a website. It was called The Artist Connection, and I had a bunch of artists on there. It was an online art gallery. Ironic thing is, the way I had set it up was everybody had their own personal page where they can put up photos of their artwork. They could put video up there. They could chat with the other people who are on the site to see if they wanted to collaborate, to work together, to do artwork together. So I had models on there, painters on there, all kinds of different artists, sculptors, glass blowers, you name it. I had a lot of different artists on there, and some uh, painters were looking for models, and some models were looking for painters, and some photographers were looking for models, and uh, some mixed media people were looking for other things. So I had built a infrastructure for them to communicate together, to organize together, and for the people to sell their products online, and to so basically afterwards I didn't know it, but my business I had to shut my business down. This was way back. That business I started in 2000, one of the only websites in the area at the time, actually, I think. Anyways, I had built Facebook, the whole integration system, all that stuff. I had built Facebook and had it running, but it wasn't called Facebook. It was called the Artist Connection, and never really saw it in that light. I did have people who were paying to be on the site. Everybody paid to be on the site, but I also had marketers, advertisers, and what I did is I figured out with my digital video camera how to take 360-degree images of stores and stitch them together, and then had a system set up where you can click your mouse and it would go towards the area you were clicking with the arrows involved, and you could look around the unit, the business, and then if you clicked on the front door, you went outside the front door and you saw the facade of the front of the building, and you were able to see, oh, this is where it's located, this is what it looks like on the outside, this is what the stuff's inside, and they could, put up sales and stuff like that in there. So I've been doing that kind of website design and marketing and video editing, audio engineering, some graphic design. I've been doing graphic design for a long time. I've had a few clients that I had on a regular basis who did a bunch of things, but anyways, and this is the podcast that I'm doing, but I have also had 5 other podcasts before this one, and I have stopped them all. That's correct. I start it, and then I get frustrated or whatever, and I'd stop. So then I'd stop. So take it down, never continue it. So this one, I don't plan to do that. But in the process this week, I decided that I probably am going to maybe market myself as a podcast producer, and to put it out there to see if there's anybody looking for a podcast producer. And so I can do that for a job, maybe just get some contracts instead of the job that I'm doing, which is a manual labor job. I do maintenance work. I fix plumbing issues and some stuff like that. And, it's okay. I enjoy this work sort of, but I don't want it to be physical. I want to be remote, working from home, and get myself into a better schedule that I can use to get my workouts in on a regular basis, stuff like that. So I'm looking at that as a potential. So this week I was thinking, okay, I'm going to start the process of walking through, see what I need to do in order to put myself out there. I have more than enough skills to do it. I've been doing this stuff for a long time. In fact, at one point I was teaching video editing in a school for the performing arts just outside of Toronto, and also setting up all the Mac computers to run the audio equipment, and the recording studios, the video editing bay. I ran 2 TV shows out of there, and I was the producer and a director, and I also was a floor director and a technical director on TV shows here in Ottawa area where I'm living currently, and done a lot of different things like that. So I love all that kind of stuff. I love all that digital work, but it's interesting that I love it and I'm good at it and I can do it, but I never felt comfortable looking for a job in that area because of dyslexia and the concern that I have with uh, writing things and that kind of stuff. But it's kind of ridiculous that I am doing a job that's manual labor that really people who do not know how to do what I know how to do can do that job and not do the jobs that I can do. Like I can build funnels from ClickFunnels and I can build websites. I even built an app. So, and I wasn't an app developer. So somebody I knew needed an app, and they had purchased some software to build an app, and so I built it and put it together and worked fine. But I never felt comfortable. I never felt that I could, I could super creative. Like my mind is always thinking of solutions for things. The reality is down the road, if I start making a lot of money, one of the businesses I want to start is a invention business, a intellectual property based business, because I love coming up with ideas on how to solve problems. And because I was dyslexic, because my mind works differently than most people are, I'm able to figure things out easier. And there's times where an idea pops in my head. I can see the packaging, I can see how it works, I can see how to put it together. All that stuff, it's just in there. Just boop. So I'm a creative thinker that way. So, and I love that kind of thing. So I'm like, why do I have such low self-esteem in that area that I don't even think that I should reach out to see if I can get contracts in that area? Now, I had a couple clients that we worked with, my wife and I worked with, but I built 32 courses for them, video courses with custom graphics on every single video, because they had this system of stars and every video had to have its own series of stars, and the look of it had to be unique for every single course. And a custom intro, custom exit, bottom thirds, all that kind of stuff. I created all that stuff and I put it all together, and they have a successful website because of the courses that they have on there. So it's not like I haven't. It's just I just feel sometimes, I guess, maybe like I can't. But another thing is like, what is it that the little thing in there that makes you feel like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this, when it's clear that I can. It's clear that I can do these things, and I'm really good at it, but there's something in that just feels like, So this is another thing that seems to be coming up now that I'm changing how I see myself. I envision my future. I envision myself as fit, healthy, strong, confident, and I start feeling fit, health, strong, confident. I don't feel the same way about myself that I did before, and I talked about this last time. So I'm starting to see the fact that I have skills and ability that are far greater than I am using in order to create an income. So I continue to do what I love to do, which is I want to do this podcast. I want to finish my book. I want to get things going in that area. I want to start public speaking. But I also want to have a business. I also want to have multiple businesses doing multiple different things. So that's the process. I'm going to start looking into it today, try to put together a resume that's specific for a podcast producer. It was interesting. The reason I think about that is because I was listening to a podcast about somebody who was talking about how they hired a podcast producer, and then they interviewed the podcast producer on the podcast, because that's who they had on the podcast, their producer. which was interesting because I was listening to both sides, and the person was looking for somebody specifically that had a really deep and complex understanding of how social media works with websites and maybe more about copywriting and knowing how to word things, and I've studied all those things and I know those things. But they also wanted somebody who knows about audio engineering, not just, and video editing as well. And I've done those things. And then she's talking about they also were looking for somebody who was very passionate about educating people and reaching out to people who are in the market, and has a personality that people can really enjoy working with and having fun and laughing and all that kind of stuff. And so when she was talking about it, I'm like, okay, is that what people are looking for? Because I feel like that's me. And then the podcast producer was like, yeah, and they were like, and she didn't cover all the skills because she didn't have some of those things that the other person needed, so they had to hire two people to do the job of one person, because apparently not everybody has the wide range of skills that I have. And I thought to myself, if this person who is a professional podcaster who has a lot of views and a lot of downloads and is doing very well financially because of that, was looking for somebody who is like me, maybe I have a potential market out there that I'm not tapping. So I'm going to tap it. I'm going to try to see if I can get that going, and that'll be another part of what I'm doing with changing not just this and this, but also changing my money situation, my financial situation, my growth potential. Anyways, so that's what I was going through this week. That's what I was talking about doing today. Today got away from me. It's nighttime outside, and this took a while. I did a version of this earlier, but it was too short, and my cat came in and meowed during it, and my wife came in and the dog, and there was some barking and lots of noise. So I figured I'll stop and I'll start back up after everything calms down. So here I am doing it. Okay, so not really sure what to call this podcast. I think I might just call it Life. Not sure. Anyways, bless you. I love you. I love you. Give you a big hug. I hope you all the best. I hope you are staying mindful, learning about what's going on in here and what's going on in here, and willing to change it. Okay. Like I said, I love you very much. I'll see you later. See you next time.